Hello, my name is Gabby. Today I will be talking about Renaissance bookbinding, focusing on Claude de Picques. My interest in wanting to research this topic was because I am looking to become a bookbinder. I really want to move to Boston and go to this specialty trade school called North Bennett Street School. They specialize in bookbinding, fine binding, paper conservation, book conservation, leatherworking, tooling, stuff like that. And so, in preparation for that, I have been trying to implement as much book arts in as many ways as possible into my schoolwork. And for this class, for art history, I really wanted to focus on some Renaissance bookbinding because even though this section of art history reaches into modern day, I haven't really spent a lot of time with old techniques and bookbinding structures and tooling. So I really wanted to spend some time with that. And I also wanted to take inspiration from all of this and implement it into my own practice. So I chose to learn about Claude de Picques because I really thought his tooling was really beautiful, and he was a binder for many kings and popes. He was binder for King Henry II, the Medici family, popes, a bunch of, and private bibliophiles and collectors and stuff like that. And I also wanted to learn more about the materials they used, and just how different the books were back then than now in our machine-made books. Sorry, I have a little bit of a cold. So, for the bibliography of Claude de Picques, he was born in 1510, and his death is a little bit unsure, between 1574 and 1578. He specialized in gilding and decorative work. That's just the fancy stuff that we see on top of books. He worked mostly in Paris, and he was actively binding mostly for the king between 1539 and 1578 or 1547. Really, just when he died, he stopped. In 1556, he became the official bookbinder for King Henry II and his court. He also worked for Francis I, Francis II, Charles the sixth, I think that is, Henry II, Charles the, have that in there twice, sorry, and the Medici family as well, and private collectors and institutions. So, now we are getting into the analyses of the books. I'm so sorry, I am not going to try to pronounce the book names. They are in Latin, so I'm not even going to try to hurt myself. So this first book, that made in 1556. It was made for King Henry II, and it was made for his royal library. The presence of the coat of arms in the middle of the book represents that it was, in fact, made for King Henry II. Oh my gosh. So sorry. The king, he was a well-known bibliophile, and he really loved hand-tooled books. During the French Renaissance, books like this weren't just meant to be academic resources. They were meant to show wealth and to show cultural refinement. All of the examples I will be showing you today were made for King Henry II. I hope you like my transitions. The binding techniques for this book and materials for this book reflect the high level of craftsmanship that is known with Claude de Picques. The book is bound in red Morocco leather over wooden boards. I'll talk why that's different nowadays than what's going on in this book. It follows the Lagrichi or Greek style with grooved board edges, a long spine, and projecting head caps. So what they're talking about is up here there's a little bit of gap and there's a really long spine, and at the end here there's going to be no overhang. The structure also includes double embroidered headbands. Those will be at the end of the books. They are made with silk threads in pink, blue, and then blue and yellow, as well as braided straps and metal fittings like studs. These would have helped protect the book and add to its decorative appeal. So the metal studs are on all the corners of this frame, which I thought was really interesting. Really cool way of keeping the life of this book preserved. So the decoration of this binding is equally as intricate. It uses tooling. That's what you see on the book in gold and in silver. So the design is an arabesque design. I hope I said that right. It forms a rectangular border and it's filled with swoopy patterns, swoopy floral patterns. And it has royal monograms and emblems integrated throughout the piece. You can see in the middle and on the middle left and in the middle right and in the lower middle. Excuse me. The edges of the pages are gilt and goffered or embossed in an Italian style. They show the influence of the European artistic traditions. Together, the techniques and the materials not only demonstrate technical skill, but also artistic influences and I'm sorry, my dogs. And they really make the book not only an art piece, but a meaningful object for education and knowledge. This is a Greek text, and it follows the Lagrange Greek style binding, and it's also a Greek edition. This reinforces the connection between Renaissance revival of knowledge and class, and how it is a symbol of wealth, status, and knowledge. So the materials and binding techniques used in this book are very similar to the first one. They both show technical precision and great craftsmanship. This book was bound in red Morocco leather over wooden boards, and it follows, again, that Greek style technique. It includes the grooved board edges, a long spine with projecting head caps, and no overhanging edges, like I showed you in the beginning, or in the previous book. Excuse me. And then the spine is reinforced by sewing over 6 double leather cords. That creates the raised bands along the spine. There are braided leather clasps, metal studs, and corner guards incorporated. I'm so sorry. And this was to help protect the book from wear over time and helping create a really beautiful decorative object with a longevity in mind. There are double embroidered headbands with 2-tone silk threads in ecru and brown. And these both add detail along with protection for the book. For the decoration of this book, instead of a more strictly framed, even though there is a frame around it, it's more on the outer edges instead of how the previous book had it framed more inset. We have kind of scattered all over floral swirly pattern of black foliage. And we got some gold tooling in the middle with the coat of arms. The black swirls of foliage and stuff, those are also outlined in silver gilding, and that really creates a beautiful contrast against the red Morocco leather. I really love how that looks. I think this is one of my most favorite books in the collection of books that I have today to show you. It's just so beautiful. The central cartouche, that's what it's called. That's what this is called. It's got a stippled background. This helps anchor the design more and helps pop out the coat of arms to make it known who this book is for. The edges of the page are gilt and goffered in an Italian style. This incorporates both decorative patterning and royal symbolism. It is a wonderful and elaborate display of Renaissance craftsmanship and knowledge, wealth, and status. Okay, for artwork number 3, we have this book. Very beautiful. It was made in 1556 and 1558. A lot of the dates are very in between because back then they didn't really have very good record keeping, I suppose. For this book, it was again made for King Henry II, which you can see in the middle has his coat of arms. This one, this book was used as a scholarly text and a status symbol, like all the other ones. But this was a medical book, so it really highlights the Renaissance practice of knowledge and discovery. It also connects the intellectual authority and political power of King Henry. He wants everyone to know he's smart. He's got a whole collection of books. Wow, look at me, I'm smart. It can display and signal his wealth, his status, and his education. For the materials and binding techniques used in this book is very similar to all the other techniques that we've seen. We see brown Morocco leather over wooden boards, following the Greek style techniques. This includes the grooved board edges, a long spine with projecting head caps, and no overhanging edges. The book is also sewn on 6 double leather cords that provide structure and forms the raised bands on the spine. The headbands are double embroidered, made with silk thread in blue, yellow, brown, and ecru. Braided leather straps were used as clasps, and metal studs and corner guards all contributed to the protection and the beauty of this book. The decorative design for this book uses the Greek style techniques. Again, it showcases the elaborate, beautiful tooling on here. It kind of looks like a silly little guy, or like a little peacock, or like something, or maybe like a little, like a teapot, or Cinderella's pumpkin carriage. You know, it really symbolizes, or it really feels like something you could interact with. On like, I'm talking about this. This feels like something I could interact with. I could go inside and ride around in. On the front cover, black rectangular border is outlined with double-tooled frames in gold. This frames the composition very nicely. Within the frames, there's intricate motifs, the ones that I were just talking about. They create like I said, a creature-like or a sculptural form, something like that. At the center, the royal arms again are showed. This time, the royal arms is actually inset using a piece of red Morocco leather. This creates a beautiful contrast, really popping out the sign that, hey, this is made for King Henry. Additionally, cartouches were inlaid along the side, featuring marbled Morocco leather right here, and again, gold tooling all around it. This book really demonstrates the techniques of incorporating multiple different leathers in one book binding, in one book. This is something that I really want to work towards. I really want to create beautiful multicolored leather book covers, and with beautiful intricate tooling. The decoration heavily relies on the leather tooling and leather working. The spine continues the ornamental design with royal monograms and emblems. The gilt and goffered edges are there as well. So some common materials and techniques used. Across all 3 works, the bindings, they shared a consistent use of luxurious materials and highly skilled techniques that reflect their king status. Each book is bound in high-quality Morocco leather, either red or brown, and they use sturdy wooden boards. I thought this was interesting that they used wooden boards because books these days use bookboard. It's a type of paperboard that is stiff and really good for keeping our books together. And much cheaper than I assume wooden boards were. The bindings all follow a Greek-style technique with grooved edges, long spines, and no overhanging edges. Nowadays, we always have overhanging edges on our books, so it makes me wonder about the functionality of the books, how it feels to open and close the books, how it feels to put it on the bookshelf, stuff like that. The no overhanging edges, it really creates a compact and solid form that our books today, they're still pretty compact, but I feel like these books would have felt like bricks. Structurally, the books were reinforced using multiple, often 6, double leather cords. These would form raised spine bands, and then at the ends of the books, on the heads, there were embroidered silk headbands in various colors. Functional elements such as the braided leather clasps, metal studs, and corner guards protected the books while contributing to their decorative appearance. The covers of the bindings incorporate gilt tooling, goffered edges, embossed edges, leather inlays, cartouches, and painted highlights, or gilded highlights, often blending French, Italian, and Greek and arabesque artistic influences. All these materials and techniques show that Claude de Picques was a careful artist, and he paid attention to durability, function, and design. So my reflection of this, I really loved all of the books. I really thought the tooling was really interesting because how similar the tooling techniques are. Because you have to heat up your brass tools somehow, and then you stamp on the leather. And that has not changed. Bookbinding mostly hasn't changed other than the industrialifying of it and using machines. But tooling and decorative work, leather work, hasn't really changed much. And so it's really fun to be able to look at these historical books and be like, wow, I could do that in the current day. I really love that. I really disliked the fact that the books didn't have an overhanging edge. I kind of talked about it a little bit ago, how like that would feel in the hand, how it would feel to open and close. I also really wonder about how thick these books were, how the hinges were functioning, clearly they stood the test of time. So obviously they were built to last. I really appreciate how much work goes into bookbinding, how many hours it can take, how it's a slow process, but it is so fulfilling. Yeah, I just really love books, and I'm really excited to incorporate a lot of the techniques and materials and stuff that I learned into my own work. I also really thought that the choice of Morocco leather was interesting. Um, it made me wonder, like, if Claude had ever used and tanned his own leather. I really want to try to use as many hides and leathers as I can in my book bindings. I really want to use fish hides, fish skin as a book cover, as like a leather. Um, I've seen a few people do that on Instagram, and I have access to fishes, so I want to try that this summer. I also really loved the embroidered headbands. I tried to sew my own headbands, and oh my gosh, it is so hard. So, seeing some historical, beautiful headbands was really, really beautiful to see and really inspiring. Thank you. These are all my citations, and I really hope you learned something about Renaissance bookbinding. Thank you. Have a good one.